Hello, my name is Jocelyn Moffett, and I'm the Entertainment Industry Marketing Manager at Autodesk. This has been a truly transformative year for the entire world. It's hard to think of an industry that hasn't been affected and even permanently changed as a result of these unprecedented times. The entertainment industry is no exception. What's particularly interesting about our industry is that the change that has happened is not so out of the blue. Many of the key trends and shifts are things we've seen coming for some time now. Things like cloud, mobile, virtualization, and machine learning. What the global pandemic has done is thrown all of these change drivers into the fast lane. The primary driver of change in the film, TV, and games industries is the content boom. The pace and quality of new content being created has been growing for a few years now. Consumers have an increasingly insatiable appetite for new TV shows, new games, and new virtual experiences. And that can be seen through the huge growth of platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and Prime Video, and the emergence of new ones like Disney Plus and Apple TV. Unsurprisingly, the global pandemic has accelerated their growth. Just imagine life right now without our streaming services or favorite games accessible right from our living room couch. This demand to produce more content fast puts enormous pressure on visual effects and animation studios grappling to handle the growing complexity of these projects and get them out the door on time. And this year brought studios the added challenge of now doing it all remotely. COVID-19 has done anything, it's put even more urgency on the entertainment industry to move to the cloud. Companies that had strong cloud infrastructure and remote workflows already in place were poised to better manage the current challenges. Same can be said for the world of design visualization. Firms with cloud workflows already in place are benefiting from prioritizing cloud collaboration, and like film, TV, and games, certain types of content like virtual and augmented reality are seeing renewed momentum. To help give you a better picture of how creatives are adapting to the times, we've invited customers across several industries to share their perspectives. Some of them work at big studios, and others are freelancers who have recently started their own ventures in the wake of the pandemic. What they all have in common is the pursuit of creating magic in their medium. Whether a video game you can get lost in for hours, a TV show you can binge on Netflix, or a beautifully ornate interior you can explore virtually. Enjoy.
I produce animated features.
I've built a whole career launching studios.
I'm working developing up my first feature film as a director.
I'm a 3D visualizer and interior designer.
I am a flame artist at Nice Shoes in Boston.
I'm the director of production technology at LAIKA.
I work as 3D graphist on an interior architecture agency.
I am a visual effects supervisor for Alchemy X.
I've been an animator since 2002.
I'm a senior core developer at Marvel Studios.
I recently co-founded and I'm a director at a remote animation studio called Superdope.
I started a sort of small art viz studio with 3 other guys.
I'm a senior 3D visualizer. We work mostly on interior design.
I'm a gameplay animation director. In my spare time, I actually have a YouTube channel that focuses on animation and teaching people how to animate.
My work is to do 3D, but also my hobby is to do 3D.
I'm the director of the motion picture labs for Disney and Marvel.
We're a studio focusing mainly on photorealistic characters. I see so many bad characters that I want to free the world from bad characters.
You know, there's no commute.
I don't have to deal with angry people on the street.
People who don't like to commute think this is great.
Everybody's home, everywhere on planet Earth.
I'm quite used to work remotely. even before it was like the fashion of the day. So for me, I have been working remote for a long, long time.
I'm in the living room now. I'm in the living room. I have the kitchen in front and the oven in my side. Yeah.
The human interaction is the thing that I miss the most.
There are people who are more extroverted and really need to get the energy of being within a group, right?
Going over to someone's computer and be like, what are you working on? And then that kind of leading towards like chit chat about basketball or about some randomness. That stuff doesn't happen when you do this, unfortunately.
It's been weird not working in the same room with clients. And also, it's also a lot of fun, you know, just chumming it up with clients and you know, they're looking at your screen and they're like, how'd you do that? Like, it's a magic show.
The thing most difficult working on distance is the missing contact with the materials, the textures and the lighting. When I can't go there, it's a little bit complicated.
Before already, it felt like people were already encroaching on your personal time with emails late at night and phone calls. And now it's like everybody knows you're home. You know, it's like it's like everybody knows you're home and you're gonna be home. And if you're not home, you're gonna be home soon. So there's no way to be like, oh, sorry, I'm busy, I'm out right now or something. It's like, no, you're not. You're at home.
You have two possibilities. You either are living at your workplace or you are working at home. So depending on how you take it, you are just going to be all the time at work or not working at any time.
Certainly one of the most important things to this day is like having the fastest possible internet.
Internet
was really bad.
How do I get fast internet?
It's no longer, you know, how is the traffic on the 405 and how is your commute? But it's more like, you know, Comcast is really slow today.
The things that I think really can hinder like the creative process, as well as like technical issues, like your mic not working sometimes, you know, like internet dropping out, those things I think people don't realize as much, but they can really start to break up like your flow.
It's something as small as like my paint node not having pressure. That took hours to figure out.
You learn how to be your own IT person, going on Google, watching YouTubes and reading all kinds of things.
Some of the pipeline would just full on like crash on us if we tried to open it.
Start working out one problem at a time. And like, you know, someone doesn't quite have access to the things they need. We get them access to the things they need. They can't reach this server. We connect them to that server. You just go down the list and you knock down one problem at a time until eventually you survive.
You know, we had actually planned to do a drill. I think it was March 17th, we were going to do a drill to have some people working at home and see how much the VPN line could handle and what the issues were going to be, because we figured eventually this might become necessary. And on the 13th, Friday the 13th, the orders came down, like, don't come back to work. So our test became, a live drill. We had to get everybody up and productive as quickly as possible. Due to the security concerns, we wanted all the work to happen on machines at the studio. So we set up remote screen sharing capabilities in Teradici, and so that if you have pressure sensitive tablet needs and things like that, you could use a system that would work.
We had a setup where it was basically our machines were at the office and we were just remoting into our machines, because that was the most secure way for us to make sure that things weren't being downloaded onto the computers. The biggest challenge was, finding a solid remote work desktop situation that would give us like good enough fidelity for us as visual effects artists to be able to see the footage as high quality. And I would say that our setup right now with RGS is like 99% there. Like, it might be off by like a pixel, but if you crank the display settings to like 100%, we can see almost pixel for pixel what you would see if you were at your monitor.
I think for the most part, we've tried to keep most of our machines and architecture on-prem so that users can remote into machines. I think generally speaking, we're trying to think about how we can spin up virtual environments more, how we can provide containers that can do processing instead of actually having to have physical machines.
Most of us are just using our own machines. We do stuff on Zoom and Sync Sketch for animation reviews. The Maya, they would give us a license to have on our home computer, and then you download all the assets you needed. Well, in fact, the computers most people have at home are actually faster than our office computers. And so people were going home and be like, oh man, I can scrub.
Break and Enter, being a new entity, didn't have this long-standing old clunkety-clunk pipeline that the management was like, oh, it's not broken, we're not fixing it. We were able to migrate all of our materials and our whole server and everything onto the cloud. And now we've delivered another feature completely remotely.
I have to say that previously I was working more or less the same. My only thing is like having a big screen in here in the studio is making me able just to give like the final review. So now in my studio that I have an IMAX screen, it changed at all. So when I'm doing the reviews for myself, I'm doing the reviews on the monitor. And then when I'm doing the reviews on the big screen, when I say, this is good, it's good.
Zoom calls.
With Zoom too.
Okay, let's take a lunch together in a Zoom.
That you get Zoom fatigue.
Opening up like a Slack channel.
Phone call, email, Slack.
We all basically just like switched to Slack the next day.
Zoom, Teams, Blue Jeans, Google Meetups, Slack, email.
We basically abandoned the whole idea of using email.
A couple months ago, we all got on a phone call and we were like, whoa, like phone calls are weird now. It was a bit like, wait, what? I'm talking over you? So it's funny how this was the awkward thing and now phone calls are the awkward thing.
But I have to say that despite all the tools, nothing beats good old-fashioned communication.
We have our meetings right now, but they're on the weekend. We keep it fun. We call them Fat Lions. So now every time we meet, for a very professional meeting, mind you, we say like, okay, everyone, let's get together for that Fat Lion.
We actually do 2 scrum a day, like in morning scrum and more like a midday scrum to keep people up to date what's happening. And we also use, for example, Discord for so people can still, like everyone can be there in the same room and hear each other's voice. So that was really helpful to have the sense of being together.
When I work with the freelancer, when we are not in the same country, we have not the same timing, and the availability of each person is not similar. So maybe I cannot manage a meeting with him. So what I do, I open Camtasia and I open all the files and I do a presentation with video. And it's better than a PDF or than paper, than documents. So with video, you show all the reference, you show all the space. Even the file is where is its location. When he wants to get any information, he come back to the video. It goes well.
There's a lot of great tools. We've got, chat channels for every group and every team. And we've got, ticketing systems, and we've got, VPN access to our shotgun tools. But you lose that sort of casual flow of information that you get just from being in the studio together. It's hard to keep everybody in the loop.
When you are a junior animator, I feel like you need extra attention because you actually need extra reassurance from your peers and from your seniors and from your leads and directors. So that communication of actually kind of sitting next to each other and sitting next to someone junior and be like, you're doing a good job. Like, this looks really, really good. Come over to my computer and then I can show you how I would do it. That stuff doesn't exist anymore, but I wish I could have that. Because if they not only hear your words and the feedback, but they also see how you work when you're next to them, they actually learn much more from that interaction than just like having to tell them in a 20-minute call, change this, change that, do this, do that, and then not talk to them for the rest of the day. That's kind of rough.
I really appreciate sharing my work with other 3D artists. Of course, you can do it by internet, emailing, but it's not the same exchange. You don't see the reaction on the eyes of the other people.
Especially in my position as a visual effects supervisor, sometimes when you are doing reviews, it is really different when you are in the same room with the artist. And you can joke and just say, oh, come on, this is very shitty, come on. If you say the same things over the phone or over a conference call, and that is misunderstood, oh my God, that can hurt the feelings of someone.
Like Mae West said it. It's not what I say. It's how I say it and how I look when I'm saying it.
Some people are happy to stay at home. Really happy to stay at home.
I definitely did a lot more cycling. Back in like April and May, it was just like a wasteland. There was no cars. it was like a cycler's paradise.
We're all huge like self-improvement nerds, and study like, top CEOs, like morning routines and that kind of stuff. I do make sure I like get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time. These are my work hours. This is when I'm chilling. Like I have to tell myself like, this is where you relax. Here.
I have to say that now I have more time to procrastinate. Finally, I can procrastinate like a professional procrastinator.
Now I have time, I can pass more time to looking for images for inspiration. So I can spend a lot of time reading or just looking beautiful books for architecture or even just art for looking for new colors or lighting.
The downtime that we had let us try new things, which was really good. We got very heavily into like Unreal Engine and real-time rendering, and pretty excited about that and where that's sort of going.
I was meditating and then I imagined some aliens and a vending machine, and was like, I'm gonna do a rendering about a vending machine and some aliens. And was like, oh, this is very funny, I love it.
You need to work and practice every day. Every day you go and just spend like, put yourself 2 hours, 3 hours just for yourself to learn or do something you like. Especially young people, this will be biggest move you will make it. It will change your life after 5 years. You will find yourself in a different place. You will say, okay, this is worth it.
Having a bit of margin to allow that creativity to evolve and to have your breath as an artist, that is actually really, really good in this condition. So this is just forcing people to look at their work in another terms.
My hobby is staying on 3D and creating my personal work. This is I love this part of my 3D journey. So yes, because we have the commercial work that you cannot controlling 100%. In personal projects, you initiate your imagination, you can do whatever you want. So yeah, I love creating stories and present it through images. 3D is my remedy, let's say. So the time allow you to have a big vision for you about you and about your work and what are you doing and where are you going.
So we originally had a planned trip to Oregon in May, and we're going with the whole team, and it was going to be like this 5-year plan. Of course, Corona canceled that plan, and we were like, well, why don't we just go to Oregon? Why don't we just move there? I wouldn't say to everyone like, hey, it's a pandemic, everyone move. Like, I don't think that's the answer, but I will say that the act of actually changing locations, I feel like the novelty of it and feeling like, all right, I have to make the best of this. This is a new chapter, this is a new change, that like really put us in a great mindset and being like, all right, I'm doing this.
So the best thing about actually working this way is that everyone is next to you in terms of like, is just a call away, like no matter where in the world they are. So even though we have time differences, it feels like we're just here, all of us, right? It feels very, very much like we're together.
I think what it's done is that it's brought the world closer together. It's allowed, I think, an opportunity to bring in more talent from globally and become borderless.
The best thing in this pandemic is you can get more projects from abroad, not to limit it only on local projects. The mentality have changed, and they now they have an idea that it's possible, and it doesn't affect to the result of work.
With each new position we post, it is something we openly consider, which we didn't used to. You know, it used to be, no, you got to move. Why wouldn't you move here? You're moving here, you know. But now it's something we think, do they really have to be here?
One of our leads is going to be in Barcelona for a couple months in the fall, and that's a lead. And he will have a very Spanish time work schedule. He won't be working until 3 p.m. or something. That's when we start here, his time, and working until 11 p.m. or something like that. Meetings until late at night for a couple months so he can be with his family. And the studio was okay with it.
It's interesting because now when looking in the future and looking on how we set things up, we can know like, oh, well, maybe we don't need an office there because they can work remotely. We can do these jobs, you know, and not have the infrastructure or just the real estate in certain locations, which then opens up the possibility of getting really good people and artists and creatives who can't come here that normally would be like, oh, well, you know, they're going to have to be checked off the list. Now it's like, well, wait a second. We know this actually works. So maybe we can go after some of those resources and that talent.
I seriously don't care about where you are in the planet. I just care about your skills. Now is a moment of change. The change is really good to impose a new order. And the new order is going to be, in my opinion, for the talent, regardless where you are.
I sometimes wonder if in Hawaii they have good internet, because it really doesn't matter nowadays.
Being an immigrant and being a woman and a person of color, I've always been cognizant about, you know, needing new voices outside of Hollywood telling these stories. We're putting together an incubator program to really identify women of color around the globe. And we're saying it's not just about women that's in animation, but let's tap out to people that are poets, that are painters, that are authors, because there's so many, you know, so many ways we can tell a story in the form of animation.
Scooby was supposed to be in the theater. It was released online. I watched it at a friend's house. There's 3 of us, and we had a beer and some popcorn and watched it on our TV, and it was like the premiere. So, a little anticlimactic.
It's really important to just really recognize that everybody is struggling.
I find myself constantly kind of trying to find out if my team has any kind of like a loneliness.
We have to like make space to not be okay and to communicate that.
People are sick, you know, and people are, you know, dealing with a tremendous amount of stress. Maybe they love their spouse, maybe they don't. I'm sure they love their kids, not all the time when you're living in the house and they've not seen anybody else and they can't have any play dates. There's all these things that come up.
So that human element becomes even more important to actually find out, like, are you okay? Can I help you? Can we do something else? Can we go out for drinks?
I do like a virtual lunch or a virtual coffee, even though whether I'm drinking coffee or not, it's kind of just like forcing you to have that dialogue with someone. Within the technology team, I tried to put on a virtual female engineer lunch because there's actually quite a bit of us on the Marvel team, which is great. And so just to kind of keep that communication going.
At one point I had a Where's Matt's bingo, where basically I would go and take meetings like this in other people's offices, and you had to guess whose office I was in while I was taking the meeting. And we had a sort of a bingo card of all the different people's offices. It's just silly and fun, but it makes things a bit more lighthearted.
There was something they did on Rumble. It wasn't my idea. It was the coordinators. They did a bingo, and in each box was something that the director or supervisor would say, which they tended to say a lot, like, that's the note I was going to give. And that was great. Like, everyone was super excited about it. Like, more excited than I could have imagined. I was like, what? These people are super into this. I wish there'd be more stuff like that. I should actually bring this up for the current project. Because motivation is really hard to give to people these days.
We try to incorporate 2 hours a week, 1 hour dedicated, I call it the art inspiration. So in art inspiration is an hour that we talk about art, like very cool characters, movie trailers, game trailers. And then the second hour we call it the tech inspiration, because we're going to show a lot of like SIGGRAPH papers, machine learning technique, like weird robots dancing or robots being abused by people, videos, things like that.
What I have found in the past couple years, and especially now, because we are all remote, is it's really important to show appreciation for your team. Full on saying like, I'm proud of you, I appreciate you, you guys are doing great, I think goes a really long way.
It's such a contradictory thing, right? Like, we can't film, but like, this is when like most people are able to watch media. So it's this need, but we can't quite do it.
When the TV and film stuff slowed down, a lot of the commercial stuff, people really were starting to ask for what you can do fully CG, right? All in the computer.
I think, since a lot of live action shoots can't happen right now, a lot of them are turning towards animation.
The other big thing that we noticed, which makes sense for TV and film, was virtual production, LED walls, and all that kind of technology right now, I think has become really hot for productions that can afford it and understand it. It can be expensive. It sometimes can be more expensive than just normal visual effects because it's an investment in infrastructure. It's an investment in your team. It's a different kind of workflow. You need people that understand that kind of pipeline.
Before COVID, we were saying, how do we reinvent the CG pipeline to be more collaborative? We've talked about parallel processes, et cetera, but it's still been kind of clunky. So, and the CG pipeline was really based on how we made 2D movies. But with virtual production and real-time engines, there's a way you can virtually collaborate together. So we're looking to see how we can do that in the front end of the pipeline, and how that can be effective all the way through the entire pipeline. And it's a way, I think, where we can really close the gap between live action, animation, and gaming world, where you can really expand that talent pool. Because, like we've been talking to live action DPs and saying, come and work with us in the virtual production pipeline and be a DP and do in lens and light as though you are in live action, but in the virtual world. And the fact that, we can bring our director into the virtual world, the DP into the virtual world, our animation supervisor into the virtual, that to me is really exciting.
E-commerce, fashion industry slowly moving toward digitization. And there's more and more demand from their side to create, for example, virtual influencers. For 3D e-commerce, they want like a 3D version of the clothing. We have to create like a virtual showroom for our clients in Paris. But Paris was in a lockdown and no one of us can go there. So we had to find a creative way of somehow finding a local vendor to help us 3D scanning all the garments. We prepared quite well because we knew it's going to be tight deadline, and we actually wrote some scripts in Maya that allow us to do, especially the rigging part, to do it really fast. And before it took like maybe 1 or 2 days, but now we can do it in minutes, rigging the entire character. I think that is a very good example of a success story.
Honestly, the hardest thing has been figuring out dailies. there's so many complications with color accuracy and frame accuracy and security of, media being on local systems. But people still need to get together and get notes from the director, and you need to be looking at the same stuff. And we have finally figured it out, or at least we've stabilized, after going through a bunch of iterations with different systems. And we've, developed a way to stream content directly from our editorial suites to the director's house over a high quality line. So he gets at his home, he gets full quality, color accurate, frame accurate video directly from the editorial suites and the screening rooms at work. And those can all be operated remotely by people at their own homes.
My team is fantastic, and I have to give them kudos of credit because, according to the metrics, our productivity has gone up since all of this happens. And that's just because, everyone, again, it's getting that extra time back in your day. It's having that little bit of extra focus where you can kind of knock things out and get some more things done. So that's actually been, at least on my team, they've been fantastic in that. We're doing internal things with, Shotgun and everything to automate some more of our pipelines and do some orchestration because it's only going to get busier.
Many people just get surprised. It's like, oh, wow, you can deliver it without me just looking over your shoulder. What are you doing? So that is actually, as I said, it's a new normality. And every time they are saying like, oh, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. In my opinion, things are never going to back to that normality that we use. And this new normality for me is even cooler.
I think going back into the office, it's inevitable. Will it be at the same frequency? I don't know. But I think that kind of creative collaboration, like working with the client in the room, that will never go out of style.
The nature of our productions mean that you absolutely have to have access to a studio to shoot the film and animate the puppets and build the puppets and build the sets. So there has to be a combination of, safe in-studio work and collaboration with people out of the studio. But at the same time, I like maintaining this flexibility of having people be able to work from all over the planet and collaborate together.
There are people who have expressed that they really want to get out and they want to get back into the office. They need it for their own sanity. And then there's people who are like, you know what, I really enjoy it this way, and if I can do it this way, that's great.
I think some people are thriving in the situation and they love it. I think for me in particular, I like the option. I like the human interaction. I like the team camaraderie. I like, being able to have those casual conversations. So I miss it.
First thing, the family. I have a little baby girl and I'm start seeing her talking full sentence and start notice some things I wasn't noticed. You need to give more time for the family, and this what happened. Open your eyes for some things you need to fix in your life.
I think if there's anything this COVID situation in 2020 has shown us is that nothing is granted, right? Keeping present is definitely the way to go going forward, and especially important whenever you are an artist. I feel like living in the moment and creating the best thing you can for this one thing is definitely the best way you can do.
It's humbled me a lot. I think it's really made me think about globally how this is impacting everyone. And how we're all in this bigger thing and just learning to be patient with it.
I try not to worry too much about what I don't know, and I just try to plan and be as flexible as I can. So whatever does happen, we have a way to pivot. It seems silly, but at the end of the day, we make movies and entertainment, and we, try to make people smile and give them good stories. There are many people on this planet that have much more stressful results when it comes to their job and their responsibility. So I have it easy when it comes to that kind of stress. We roll with the punches and we just get the job done and try to smile while we do it.
We are artists and sometimes we forgot about play. and playful, being playful and not being so serious. So, oh my God, I'm working on the Star Wars. I have to be in my tuxedo for work. Come on, just play with that. Just try to, because the people that was working on the very first Star Wars were just playing. That was having fun. Of course, they were technical excellence, but at the end, it was playful.
Filmmaking is magic. It's making magic, right? It's not recreating reality, especially in animation. So we get to make a world, we get to make characters and tell stories that really have impact. So that's what I love about animation, and what I love about, our medium is that is a medium that allows you to innovate.
We're all MacGyvers. We've always been pioneers from the day you begin the job to the day you leave. I think that everybody in the world is caught up to what the life has really been for visual effects and animation people for years. Welcome to our party.
As we've heard over the last 40 minutes, a lot is changing in the entertainment industry. In fact, things are changing on a nearly daily basis, and the pace is only accelerating as studios and creatives like the ones that we just heard from today find new and innovative ways of tackling today's challenges to produce more content, handle growing complexity, and work effectively while apart. Whether you're a freelance artist, work at an animation or visual effects studio, or spend your days designing beautiful interiors and visualizations, one thing we can be sure of is that the move to the cloud and remote collaboration will continue to be more and more crucial for creatives across disciplines, both during these unprecedented times and likely well into the future. Thank you for watching.